Awesome. So cool. All righty. Hello, everyone. Welcome to, I haven't named this yet, so I was just going to try it out and see how it fits, but Conversations That Conquer. We're going to be talking about gratitude and we're going to explore how it affects the mind, body, and the soul of everything. And so I know it does definitely sound simple when people say that we're just going to be grateful for things. But sometimes you need a coach, sometimes you need an expert, sometimes you need someone to help facilitate what that can even mean. Because maybe for the first time in your life, you're thinking, I can maybe do something different. And so we're going to tie in all of that together with our wonderful professional Ann. She is a happiness specialist, training consultant, speaker, and coach, and she has over 30 years of experience in designing customized training programs for many organizations. She's the founder of Barefoot in the Sand, where she collaborates with company leaders to create a positive work environment through facilitating training workshops on employee happiness and mindset. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you. I'm
Absolutely.
excited to talk about this topic.
Yeah, so cool. So you teach it every day. You talk about gratitude probably more often than the average person. So how would you personally define gratitude?
I like to describe it as looking for the good things in life
Mm,
and putting more attention on what's going right instead of what's going wrong.
yeah.
Gratitude actually brings feelings of joy and happiness because we're focusing on the good, and gratitude puts you in the present moment. And the present moment is your point of power.
Wow. Empowering. I love that. And so what really led you to explore gratitude as more than just a feeling, but an actual practice?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, my career has been in training, consulting, and so I put together training programs for companies. And in my spare time, I was so interested in personal development. So I was always reading everything I could. So one day, about 18 years ago, I was in the library, picked up a book called What Happy People Know, and I was hooked. I wanted to know everything I could learn about being happy and having well-being. And so I began researching and I ended up putting together my own program on happiness and resilience. It's for employees and leaders, but also for individuals. And then I also started coaching people on how to have more fulfilling lives. So, how to break through barriers that hold us back, limiting beliefs, and how to move forward and create happier and more fulfilling lives. And so, in my research, in my program, the foundation of my happiness program is what I call 8 happiness boosters.
Oh,
And one
nice.
of the boosters is appreciation, which is gratitude.
Yeah.
And not only is it one of the happiness boosters, and the happiness boosters are a set of behaviors, things you can actually do to increase your happiness and
Mm,
have a more fulfilling life. And so, not only is gratitude one of the happiness boosters, I think it's one of the most powerful. And so when we are in a state of gratitude, when we are thinking about all the good things in our lives and being grateful for them, we get more things to be grateful for. So what I say is appreciation appreciates. So when I'm working with and coaching with people, the things that they desire to change or acquire or attract into their life, we do use gratitude as a wonderful tool, and it's something that actually draws the things that you want to you. So it's a big part of my practice.
heck yeah. And just to even tie that in, like the more you focus on that, the more you focus on it grows. And so it's the same principle with the garden. It's the same principle with what you neglect. With what you neglect grows too. And so that's such a beautiful perspective that you have. And so why do you think it's so overlooked? Like, why do you think gratitude is so overlooked as something that can be too simple when it is so transformative?
Yes, I think like we're kind of conditioned sometimes to when something goes wrong, it gets a lot of our attention. And so we're actually conditioned in society to look at problems. And so it's actually, a real practice to shift to looking for the things that are good. And so we don't realize the power of it.
Hmm.
When you are focused on love and appreciation, it is the highest vibration. and we are all energy. And so if we're in the highest vibration frequency, that's what draws the things we want to us. So a lot of people just don't even realize how magical that is.
Yeah. And when you start to see your clients like practicing that on a consistent basis, do you have anything that comes to mind on like a physical or emotional breakthrough just from practicing a consistent gratitude habit?
Well, I've seen how gratitude can work for my clients in breakthroughs and changes in their lives. I can think of like two examples that stand out to me. So I had one client who wanted to improve her relationship with her daughter. And so what she presented as a problem is that she said, my daughter has been difficult. It's her oldest daughter. She said, my daughter has been difficult since the day she was born.
Yeah.
She said, she's very stubborn. We butt heads. She really pushes my buttons. And so I want to have like a better relationship. So she has a history of a relationship with her daughter. And so the first thing we did was let's put those ideas about your daughter, the way you see her, to the side, and let's focus on what you appreciate about your daughter. So, I had her write down all of the wonderful qualities of her daughter, that she was smart and that she was very talented and artistic. She said sometimes she can be nice to her sisters, these types of things. And so you start shifting your perspective toward appreciation of that person.
Yeah.
And so when she was doing that, then she also practiced during the day, during the weeks, looking for the good things in her daughter rather than getting frustrated by
Yeah.
the other qualities. As she made this shift, it starts to really melt the barrier in the relationship. And then her daughter is getting a different energy from her.
Yeah.
And so her daughter started opening up, and you can change your interactions with people. I know a lot of times you say you can't change a person, but you can change your interactions and how you're coming to them with the type of energy and appreciation. That's why I say it's kind of magical. It can completely shift a relationship.
It's so magical. It seems so simple, but I don't you feel like it might be easier to look at all of the negative things than it is to look at the positive things? Why is that?
Yes, because I think it affects us emotionally. It triggers us. So we have our own things going on with ourselves. So a person that can trigger you is actually showing you things that you could probably look at in your life. So
Wow.
you can say that people are here as soulmates. We have a lot of different soulmates, and they're kind of there to bring out things that we need to work on.
Yeah.
So it can actually be a positive. And then I have another example because when you can use gratitude when you want to move from one situation, like you have a goal. Let's say you want to get a better job and you want to change your situation. So I had a client who, had a desire to move to a new job that she wanted to find something where she could be really helping, like an organization that was really helping people. And she also, when we talked about what her vision was for a new job, she said, I would love to live in Washington, D.C., near my brother, but I also want to keep my home in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I'd love a job where I could actually live in both places. They would let me do that. And this was before COVID, before there was so much flexibility in
Yeah.
working. So she had this dream and vision she set. And one of the things you want to do is you want to also be grateful for where you are now. So when you are still in a position of gratitude for your current job and all the things that it provides for you, it's much easier to take inspired action to move to the next step. So you want to say, thank you to the job or the home that you're in right now, even if you want to move to a bigger home or the things that you want. It's the gratitude for where you are now. You always want to choose like happiness in your present moment, and then that just opens everything and it flows. So she ended up getting this job in DC,
Wow.
working for the Veterans Association, and she was blown away
Yeah.
she said, I got everything I wanted and then some. I never realized the potential of that.
Wow.
So it's powerful in just moving us forward into the things we desire because we're always growing and expanding and wanting, new things in our lives. And so it can be a real piece of that as well.
Yeah. And so it's like it's super practical, it's you focus on the positive or the things that you do appreciate, which can be a challenge for some people, especially if they've never done that before. And then you have focusing on what you do want versus what you don't want. A lot of people focus on what they don't want a lot,
Yes.
where it's like, I want to avoid, 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 but what do you want to gain, gain, gain? And so you have, let's focus on appreciation more. Let's focus on what we want to gain out of this situation. What's a win look like for us? And those are some practical ways. What are some other practical exercises that if you see somebody that you're working with that is like just you can see they're chronically stuck on this like low fatigue, low energy, maybe even a little bit of a victim mindset, maybe even a little bit more stuck on the gas pedal, right? We talk about that a lot together. Um, what do you see some practical exercises that they can do to change that state?
Yes, there are a lot of things. So you can start small, if you're in a tough situation or going through a difficult time. Sometimes the emotions, the really strong emotions of loss or sadness or frustration, things like that, feel a little bit far from the energy of love and appreciation, which is a higher frequency. But you can start to begin to move in that direction with little steps. So in using gratitude, it could be what I'll tell a great practice is at the end of your day, go through your day. At the end of the day, I would suggest putting a notepad right by your bed. And so the last thing you do right before you go to sleep is to write down 5 things that you were grateful for or appreciate in that day. It could be the smallest thing, like somebody smiled at me or held the door open for me. It could be that it was a sunny day, just, even the smallest things. So you're going to write down 5 things. And you'll be surprised because sometimes you've overlooked these things. You're like, oh, yeah, this was a nice little moment today. So you write down the 5 things right before you go to sleep. One of the great things about this is that it helps you sleep better
Yeah.
because you've gone to bed with positive thoughts. It also trains your brain
Mm.
to look. If you do this every night,
Yeah.
it trains your brain that as you're going through the day, your
Yeah.
brain is going to start looking for the things because it knows that it has to write that down
Yeah.
in the evening. And so
Love
we're
it.
actually rewiring our brain and create a more positive neural pathway.
Yeah. I love that. It's like when you see the beautiful blue Mustang going down the road, and then you're like, oh man, I really love that car. I love the way it drives, I love the way it sounds. I love the way it looks when it's going down the road. And then all of a sudden, that's all you start to see are those things. That's a pathway that you opened up in your brain. They've always been there. You just never paid attention to them.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. So let's talk a little of like just your own personal experience with this. How do you feel what your state is able to change when you're more in alignment, when your nervous system is adapting optimally, and when you're doing these gratitude practices? What do you see as the benefit to doing both of those things? Because you take care of your body, you take care of yourself, you get adjusted, and then you're doing this practice too. Did you notice a change before you were getting adjusted and doing this? And with the combination of it, have you seen your body and your mind and everything connect more, or are you seeing it stay the same? Or, what's been your experience with that?
Yeah, I think the chiropractic, it's something that I've always done throughout my life, but when I started with your practice, I started doing it more regularly. So I felt like it completely maintained my health in wonderful ways. I think it de-stresses you, your practice. It has wonderful benefits. So it's not only the physical, it's the emotional. And
Yeah,
then when you put gratitude toward it, gratitude does so many things for the body.
yeah,
Um, it floods your body with happy chemicals. So
yeah.
when you're focused on something, the happy chemicals are those neurotransmitters like serotonin and endorphins. And I think the amazing thing is, and you probably know this about when you're in a state of gratitude. So these neurotransmitters help they help transmit the signals between the neurons in your brain. And so I like to say that gratitude actually makes you smarter
Yeah.
because when you have those happy chemicals in your brain, you actually make better decisions. You're more creative,
Hmm.
you think strategically, and you're a better problem solver. So it actually like makes you smarter.
Yeah.
And then in the body, and you can talk to, the physical aspects of the body, but we know that gratitude and good feelings help our body come to a state of relaxation and that's our natural, it brings our natural state to our neurological and physiological systems.
Yeah.
And it puts our body in a state of ease. And so we know that many diseases are attributed, at least partially, to disease or discomfort in the body or tension. And so when you are maintaining gratitude, you're maintaining a state of ease that's going to be comfortable to the body. And in the long run, it creates healing effects.
Yeah.
So when you partner that with being in alignment and all the things that you provide, you can probably speak a lot to that, the alignment of energy and all the good things that it's doing to your body. It also impacts your immune system. It boosts your immune system. It decreases stress, anxiety, depression. So in the long run, if you're doing this like regularly,
Right.
it has amazing effects. Like they go on and on.
Absolutely. And it's a practice, it's not something that's a light switch that you just turn on and off and it just is like, it changes everything, but definitely that consistency it builds in. So if someone is practicing these practical exercises and these things that they're introducing into their life, say for a month, right? And they're doing it on a consistent basis. They're like, okay, I'm all in. I'm just going to do this every day. What shifts would they start to notice mentally,
Um,
emotionally, physically?
Interestingly, if you're focusing on the good things in your life, you might notice that things are going to start showing up in your life. More is going to come to you. If you practice appreciation in sharing it with other people, you are going to strengthen your relationships. You'll see that starting to happen. Your stress will, decrease. You'll feel that. You'll feel a sense of optimism, a little more optimism, and it can actually enhance your self-esteem. When
Yeah.
you're focusing on the good, you're kind of feeling good about yourself. So yeah, so many benefits. And I can share a couple other practices for gratitude. So we said at the end of the day, sometimes when you wake up in the morning, you can think about right when you get up. Sometimes we wake up and the first thing we think about is, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And sometimes we start stressing about what our day is going to look like. So take a moment in that moment, just say, well, what am I grateful for? Maybe the fact that I woke up in this really cozy bed and it's so, so grateful for having this warm bed to be sleeping in, or that I'll be taking a hot shower, or the smell of the coffee, so just in the morning, focusing on gratitude. Throughout your day, like we said, look for the things that are going right and also look for opportunities to share appreciation with other people. You will light up their life if you
Yeah.
just say something to somebody.
Yeah.
And when we talk about gratitude, there's different, like when somebody does something for you, you're going to say thank you and you're going to be appreciative when they do something for you. But showing appreciation is even more than thanking somebody for what they did.
Yeah.
It's really appreciating them for who they are.
Hmm.
So it's a deeper, more personal thing. So I give an example, like if you're at work and you say to somebody, when you come on our team and you're on this project, you have such a great sense of humor that you just make us all laugh and you're so funny and you just light up the room. And I really like appreciate that, what you bring to our team. It could be something like that, or somebody in your personal life telling you, I notice how caring of a person you are. You really like to take care of people, whatever you really appreciate in somebody. So that's
Yeah.
like another practice because it lights you up.
I love that.
And then in my happiness workshops, one of the homework assignments I'll give people in between our courses, and then I'd love to hear, what happens as a result. I ask people to write a letter of appreciation to someone in their life.
Mm.
It could be in their business life or their personal life. And to practice this, I did it myself. So I thought everything that I teach, I need to do myself. And so I thought,
Yeah.
well, yeah,
That's a
who
great
can I
practice.
write? Yeah, who can I write a letter to? And so I thought about a professor who made a really big impact in my life. This was years later after I had graduated from the University of Pittsburgh. So my background is in journalism, actually. And so I had taken a class, it was magazine one writing, and I had a professor he was a good professor, but he would tell us like how difficult it was to get published and how hard it was to write for magazines.
Yeah.
So I was really questioning, am I going in the right direction? But I thought, I'll take another class. I'll take magazine writing too, and just seat. And so when I went into that class, I had Professor Bruce Dobler, and he like changed my world because he was so inspirational. And he told us, he had us reading Pulitzer Prize writers, and he would say, you can do this. Like,
Yeah.
you can be this good.
Yeah.
So I would leave class like floating on air. And I was so excited about my career and all of that. So he made a really big impact. So this is years later, and I thought, I would like to reach out. I never told him what kind of impact he had on me and how he influenced my career. So I decided to reach out to the university, and they said, well, he's retired or he's left, he moved to Texas, but we have an email for him. And so I said, great. So I got his email and I wrote him exactly what I kind of described. I told him what it meant to me, what kind of a teacher he was, what a difference it made for me. So I described this all in detail and I sent the email. A few days later, I kind of forgot about it. And a few days later, I got an email back and he said, when I read your email, it brought me to tears. He
Oh,
said, there were so many
wow.
times when I didn't know whether I actually made a difference. And
Yeah.
now I do know.
Wow.
So that was like, you can imagine what it was like for him, but also for me to get that response and know how much that means to a person.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you a feeling of how, like I said, powerful gratitude and appreciation is.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's so practical. It's so like, I mean, how long did that take you to write?
Exactly.
It's and it can really just make such a huge impact moving forward. And that's awesome.
Mhm.
So what are you working on right now? Like, where are you moving forward to? How can people find you? How do people get connected to you?
Yes, you can reach me on my website. It's barefoot-in-the-sand.com. And if you go to book a consultation with Ann, then we can talk about, coaching or happiness workshops. And what I'm doing it with my coaching, I'm also really specializing in women-centered coaching and relationships. Some relationships are something that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd be happy to talk to people about, increasing their happiness and
Yeah. Um,
transformation.
quick question. Why is that your passion right now? What's the driving force with that?
You mean by centering on women and
Or women in
relationships?
relationships?
Yes. So actually, I learned something really fascinating in that when we go to achieve certain goals, I learned that the standard system for doing things like that, like setting a goal, learning the strategy, taking the actions, is actually a masculine system. And I was really surprised because we've always used that in coaching. And so women have a little bit of a different focus. And so I've learned a methodology that is specific to women. So women often have certain barriers that they come up against, almost invisible barriers that they're not aware of. And so I've have now a specialized background in helping women break through those barriers and move into a growth pathway and to really understand things that get in the way. So the areas that they're stuck in, I can help them move
Nice.
past those. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating.
That's an incredible mission. That's an awesome vision. And that was a really, I don't, that was incredible. So, is there anything else you want to throw in there? We got a couple more minutes. That felt pretty good.
Yeah, it feels good. I think I would just wrap up with I tend to tell people in my workshops if you walk away from one thing, remember this, and it's kind of something you've already said. What you focus on expands. Remember that. So focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. And so if you focus on being happy and grateful right now in your present moment, you will be amazed at you will be surprised at the amazing things that can show up in your life.
Yeah. Your whole state can change. And so, for anybody watching this, right, just take one thing, right? Just take one thing, one simple practice, add it into your routine. Don't make it too big, don't make it too complicated. Just find the easiest, most consistent way to do it. And like Ann's saying, like you'll be able to see the compounding forces moving forward, not at the very beginning, right? Because you never plant a tree and then just see it grow to its full potential. But what you do see is the beginning phases of laying down the strong foundation for it, which is incredible. So if you guys found value in this, please share it with people. Please tell people where to find Ann. She's absolutely incredible, wealth of knowledge, a great coach, and just super blessed to know her. So, with that wrapping up, we'll end the recording, and I hope everybody has a great day.